Lafayette. So today I want you guys to regroup. Today is a sister circle. I want you guys to get all of your notes for role of a woman and review and review the notes for role of a woman and have a discussion, a private sister circle discussion about what you learn and how it affects your life. A reflection on your past relationships, a reflection of how you show up in the world, things you've learned, just a time to be able to speak together. And then also in the midst of you guys having a sister circle, you guys should make sure that everyone has like the same notes. Like make sure everyone's notes are updated with the pertinent points and everything. When I'm Sean, I'm gonna make you host. Okay.
I'll go. Okay, thank you, Mianu. I am pulling up my notes now. Anitra, do you have all of your notes pulled up?
Yeah, so I was trying to show you my notebook, but it won't show on the
Okay.
screen. But yes.
I heard that they said protect the good stuff. All right. Mhm. So, Role of the Woman began in June. I'm not sure if I think June 22nd was the first Role of the Woman class. All right. Let's see. Alafia, welcome in, Tanaja. So Mianu gave us the directive for today's class. It's going to be a sister circle and us going over our notes for this module of Role of a Woman and making sure that we have all of the pertinent key points for each of the sessions, and just talking about how Alafia Ngbasi, talking about this information and how we are integrating it into our life, how it plays a role in our relationships, and just the way that we interact with the world as a woman. So, I believe the first date of the Role of the Woman module started June 22nd. Um, and so we can all kind of just go through the notes that we have and make sure that everybody has the important points. So I can begin. I have, starting with a zoomed out universal look, the Kabbalion teaches universal principles. And because the West doesn't understand the why and doesn't have an understanding of universal principles, they try and put things into universal principle spaces. But a principle is a fundamental truth, a reason, foundation for fundamental thought. A principle is something that cannot be broken. And then next, I have that polarity. One thing cannot exist without the other. This is important when it comes to the human. One thing cannot exist without the other. Everything has an interdependence. When you continue to ask the question why, you will get to a principle. And opposites enable balance and harmony. Um, the opposites are what help to create balance. To be balanced, first off, we know in existence the law of polarity. They're on the same spectrum. It is a continuum of the same thing. What we're talking about is the element that is measuring these two things. So when it comes to something being balanced, that element, whatever that element is, there is the same of each meaning. Very simply and plain, it's 50-50. There's the same amount of the element, opposite but the same. And this brings us to harmony or balance, meaning when you have a scale, the goal is to get to zero. That is when you have 50-50 because the goal is to get to zero. When you have equal of the two and they're the same weight, it gets to zero. That's balance. Harmony is something different. Harmony says in order to complete this goal, it takes some of this and a lot of that. So let's break this down. So the goal is to get to 100. You can get to 100 with each person having 50, or you can get to 100 by one person having 10 and the other person has 90. That's important when you're thinking about yourself. It's important to know where you are extreme and where you're less extreme. So you can know when you're in a situation and you're trying to match yourself with another person, how you can bring harmony. Balance refers to the state of equilibrium where opposing forces are in equal measure, creating stability and equalness. Harmony focuses on pleasing and integrating the relationship between opposing forces, where they work together harmoniously, often with a sense of flow and connection. While balance can be a prerequisite for harmony, harmony goes beyond simple equilibrium, emphasizing a more interconnected and dynamic relationship between the elements or opposing forces. So those are my notes on balance and harmony. Does anybody have some things that they want to add to that?
I go. Uh, my notes are pretty much the same. Should I still read the notes that I have?
Yeah, I'd like that because we all kind of take different things or emphasize different things in our notes. And so it'd be good to hear what you have as well.
Okay. Um, so I have there are laws of nature and principles to abide by when it comes to the universe. Uh, Principles of fundamental truth that serve as the basis of behavior, and it does not change. The law is universal, and then some examples um, of different laws that we spoke of was the law of gravity, the law of attraction, law of male and female, etc. Um, and then I have written laws cannot be broken. When it comes to the law of polarity, everything has poles, everything has an opposite that is equal. This is duality. Nothing exists without its opposite, and they are not mutually exclusive. Then there was the question asked of how do opposites work together? Balance refers to the distribution, equal portion, where opposing forces are in equal measure, promoting stability and evenness. Harmony focuses on pleasing and integrating relationships between the opposing forces, often with a sense of flow and connection. While balance can be a prerequisite to harmony, harmony goes beyond simple equilibrium. It emphasizes a more dynamic relationship between the elements and or opposing forces. And then the homework assignment that we ended up having, I have that written down too. Ramiani told us to read the Kabbalion with focus on the chapters for polarity and gender. And then in a reflection or meditation, observe society, people watch, sit in nature, write about how I observe the law of polarity and duality and what I observed. Make sure to list opposing forces. How do I see interconnectedness? Where do I see harmony or balance? Be clear in identifying the two opposite elements and what did it achieve? Alafia, Alafia, Alafia.
I'll go. Um, so in terms of this lesson, since we've had it, have you all identified the characteristics that you have, and then the others that are needed to bring harmony into situations? Have these topics been something that you have been integrating into your daily life? And yeah, how are you seeing these concepts show up? I was thinking about in the other session when we were going over the retreat, Lenitra, how usually you take the role of a big sister, and that is kind of how you tend to harmonize a lot of situations, but coming into the retreat, that wasn't the role that you had to take. And so you found yourself harmonizing in a different way, which I thought was really beautiful. That was just one example that I thought of off the top of my head. But I'll leave the floor open for anyone to go into how they are thinking about balance and harmony and their role in it in their daily lives.
I go. Alafia, ladies. I hope everyone is doing well. Alafia, Miano. When I think about that question, I kind of go back to the retreat because there were many situations or many opportunities for us to achieve balance and harmony. Um, I thought it was interesting when we were doing our yoga session that, just a second. That when we were doing our yoga session, we found that there was a not situation, but there were instances where a pose would make us show us where our imbalances were. Like you do a pose on one side and you do the same pose on another side, and one side may be more difficult than the other. And I thought that was pretty interesting as it came along with some of the teachings that we had about maintaining balance and harmony. also, like during that yoga session, we were having to hold the poses, and how you hold the pose is you create balance, meaning you pull one way and you pull the opposite way. You stretch out and you hold in, and that creates the net zero that we were talking about. Like the same force in opposite directions create balance, and it felt like that was just the physical manifestation of the lesson Miano had taught about the difference between balance and harmony. Alafia, alafia, alafia.
Go. For me, with balance and harmony, I felt like on the trip, I could really see how, um, I was just balanced and in harmony. Like I didn't crave any sweets, and I'm such a sweet craver. Like I want them sweets. Like ooh, as soon as I got back the day of, I said, "Dang, I want something sweet." And so that just showed me like of how I am really just off balance, like, or I'm not in harmony. Because I don't necessarily think I'm just like I'm balanced, but it's just things are not flowing the way that I wish they would. And so I feel like this just has showed me that I need to try to get in balance and in harmony, and like I need to slow some things down within my life. So I'm able to achieve that because I really did feel like just one at peace. And then when I thought about like, okay, I got to get back into the real world life, I was like a little overwhelmed and had a little anxiety because I was like, dang, like life is life. And so, um, but I feel like this is just now my goal to try to achieve that peacefulness and that balance and that harmony, like that harmonious time that I had there. Life, yeah, life, yeah, life.
Go.
Go. Tanaja, one of the things, questions that I have is, Miano always says that existence is full. And so with creating balance, it's like if we're taking anything away, then we have to replace it with something else. And so I'm wondering for you, have you thought about some of the things that you want to like remove from your life and what you want to replace it with? In the first session, Lenitra had talked about how she too has a huge sweet tooth, but how she had really gotten that fixed from fruits and stuff while at the retreat. And so I'm wondering, as you are aligning your life, what are some of the ways that you are tangibly bringing that balance?
Okay, that was a good question. I would say right now, go. Woo, I'm just trying to figure it out. I think that the first thing that would probably be like make sure ain't nobody around, but I quit this second job. And so that's what I'm trying to do. Just woo, every day I'm thinking about it. So I have kind of thought of some ways like where I want to open my own business, and I'm trying to really get that into the effect by the end of the month, and just put myself out there, so I can just free up my own time and own space because I feel like working 6, 7 days a week, it's just no time. Like you can't do anything. Like I just don't have energy for a lot of things because it's just like I'm tired. And so that's one thing. Also with my full-time job, like I'm putting boundaries in place. So I'm just letting them know, like last weekend I came back, I was just like, I can't even do this. Like, like I'm not gonna stay late. Like, no, I'm gonna just do it the next day. And so I really have been trying to I have really weak boundaries with work. And so I am trying to start to put those boundaries in place. And then one thing that I did take from the retreat, I was never those people who ate the yogurt bowls. But I was like, oh, this is actually kind of good. And so now I've been craving that. Like if I'm trying to do something sweet, I'm like, oh, let me just make me a little honey yogurt bowl. And so that's been going kind of well. That's been okay. So Yeah, I'm just trying to find ways. Hopefully, once I get good with the trade, and I can also relieve some stress with that, with the money. So we'll see. But yeah, I feel.
I go. That I call it that little sweet tooth demon because it tastes good going down, but the after effects that you have to deal with as a result, I have a thing for it. I like chewy things, so like a Starburst or Twizzlers, or I just like chewy candy. That's probably the worst because it get all stuck in your teeth. Um, and so I know yesterday I was like, I really when it just popped in my head. And see, this time I know that not every thought that pops into your head is yours. I was like, when the last time you had some Twizzlers? And I was like, ooh, Twizzlers. And I was like, no, no Twizzlers, Lenitra. You could do it just fine without them dang Twizzlers. Um, and so I got mangoes. And I was like, if I and really just getting back to because I know what to do, but I've also noticed that when I start back eating certain things, it makes it hard. It's like it's something about I don't I don't know. This is how I end up finding out that like a sugar addiction is real. Um, because like you eat some of it and then now you want it every day. And the more I eat it, the more I want it. And if I go enough time without eating it, I'm fine. And so the whole time during the retreat, I didn't even think about candy. It didn't even occur to me. My mouth didn't want no Twizzlers or no Starbursts or no Skittles or nothing. I was content with what we had there. Um, and so I was just like, I'm just gonna go back to if I eat something sweet, it's because it's fruit. And while I get whatever sugar is in there, I'm also going to get whatever fiber is supposed to come with it and whatever vitamins and minerals is also supposed to come with that sugar because nature's going to make sure you're not just getting sugar, but you're going to get something else. Whereas man made stuff, you just giving me the sugar and it's killing me slowly. Um, I just wanted to throw that in there. As far as um, like the what we have been covering with role of woman and balance and polarity, I feel like it's a lot of it, um, a lot of it, like there are things that we know here or we probably have heard of before, but paying attention to whether or not we are living in balance, having a full understanding of it, and then doing things with intention is is what is different for me. And so going through like comparing where we are masculine and where we are feminine to see where we tend to be more of in certain areas, I feel like has really helped me to look at uh, everything else in ways that I really wasn't looking at it like that before. Um, and so I know in our last session where Mianu had us give her an example of just a situation and the the feminine aspect of how to deal with that. I feel like it really has emphasized that even though feminine energy is considered to be the I guess weaker or it's not as strong in physicality. Um, I feel like it has really helped me to be able to see just how strong it is spiritually and how before something manifests in the physical, it got to be there in the spirit. So it's like, well, yeah, you really so then like putting into practice, um, less, trying to see how the sentence can make sense. Putting into practice of doing less. I'm still doing more and I'm still doing a lot, but what I am doing is less of the, I guess, the physical outward. So maybe it looks like I'm not really doing much, but by me not doing, then it puts into play um, the ability for everyone else to also fill in their roles. And then that helps to create balance and harmony. I hope I'm making sense because it makes sense in here, but I just feel like it's not coming out the way I wanted to. But I just felt like with the examples that she gave, someone asked about like a group project at work, and Mianu was saying that, okay, so then you can ask the questions. Well, who's good at this and who's good at that? And let people, talk about what they would be able to do. And then, okay, well, this is what I can do. And I'm like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. And so it looks like I'm not really doing anything, but because of my not doing, look at how everybody else was able to fill in and do their part without it being something where I'm trying to uh, whip you into shape or make you. Yes, come on, Mama Shaw. Exactly. It creates space for people to also step in and own their part of whatever this project is that we are collaborating on. So yes, Alafia, Alafia, Alafia.
I go. For me, I've been very much observing, because I have the belief that like everything is really information. And so when you're able to take a step back, it helps to be able to start creating some of like the systems that I need. Because for so long I suppressed my emotions. And now that I've been integrating them back into how I'm living, everything's a lot more intense. And so when I feel offended, it's like there's a rage that happens. Or when I don't physically take care of my body well, then that also will manifest in my emotions as well. And so when I think about my masculine and feminine energy. I've always focused on how I have like a lack of masculine energy like outside of me. And I feel like, oh, if I had this masculine energy creating the structure for me, then I would be doing well. And really taking the time to like take accountability and just take back my power and my agency. I've been thinking about how I can create my own inner structures and systems so that I'm well taken care of and so that I'm not reactive. And one of those things for me has to do with food. When I'm not well nourished, then my emotions are completely out of control. And then also being better about tracking my moon cycle, my period cycle, because as I've gotten older, now I'm experiencing very extreme mood swings. And maybe I've always experienced them, but I never tied it to my moon cycle. But I've been noticing that like I'll have a lot more anger and a lot more depressive symptoms right before my period. And so making sure that like I'm feeding myself well during those times. Also starting to just tangibly work on like setting reminders because like the days all kind of blur together when you have a lot of work and other responsibilities. So I'm not necessarily consciously like, oh, I'm in my luteal phase or whatever it's called. But like when I look it up, setting it in my phone right then and having it like announced to me. Because the other thing I'll do was I would put in my calendar, but there'd be no alerts. And so then whenever I'd mosey into my calendar, I'd be like, oh my gosh, all of these things that I'm supposed to do that I am checking now. So like making like getting, yes, that's the word. Making sure that I set the alerts, like I guess refining these systems. And I've also been um working on other aspects of femininity that I wasn't so great about, like grace and compassion, because it's like I have a lot of knowledge of things, but I haven't, this is the phase that I'm embodying that knowledge. And so before, when I would mess up and it's like, oh, well, you know, you were supposed to eat and that's why you just raged out on everybody, I would be very mean about it. But now it's like, that was the reason. So what are we going to do about it? Moving into more like a solution-based um, aspect, and also just recognizing now, like I do have masculine traits because I kind of moved into this, like, I'm just so feminine. But it's like now I also have masculine traits. So now I'm like starting to recognize them and starting to use the strength of both aspects, which has been nice. Oh, and something that I think would be helpful for all of us. I had seen some posts online. If I can find them again, I'll definitely put them in the group chat. But like looking up what your different cravings mean, whether it be sweet or salty, and then also texture as well. Like when we're craving soft things, that means that we're trying to fill this particular thing, or if it's crunchy things, it's this particular thing. So starting to like really investigate more and being more curious has also been helpful with trying to heal and stabilize and bring harmony. Alafia, Alafia, Alafia.
I'll go. I'll go. I just wanted to chime in on that as well because um, balance during the moon cycles is something that's sometimes very difficult. And I noticed, like in this time period, I it forces you to have balance. Like my moon cycle came shortly after the retreat, and like there was a day where it was just like I was so tired. I didn't have any energy. Like it was like my body was forcing me to rest. Um, and it was interesting because I really needed it. I went to sleep and I thought, okay, I'm going to take a 30-minute nap. And it came out like a couple of hours later. I woke up and it's just what my body needed. And so I also appreciate like the energy during your moon cycle that pushes you to take care of yourself. And we kind of ignore that part, and we don't take care of ourselves, which I think causes us to be, moody or upset or have these emotional imbalances. And if we, kind of more listen to our bodies during that time, we're able to naturally achieve some type of equilibrium. And it was interesting because the next day it was like I had energy. I was able to do things, and it was the rest that I needed. But it also sat me down. It was like, okay, you had energy for, the first part of the day. The second part of the day is rest. And so I just think it's interesting when we are able to listen to our bodies, listen to our energy, and allow ourselves a time like to rest as well as a time to hyper focus and work. I feel.
I'll go. Yes, thank you for bringing that up, Agmasi. Um, that beautifully kind of brings us into the next set of notes, which begins with the law of rhythm. And this is how we flow from the poles. And life is in perpetual movement and will be a progressive notch of movement. And those who are able to ascend higher are those who are able to stay neutral between the poles. And we have the, oh, okay. And then Mianu had asked us to look at our feminine and masculine qualities within ourselves. And then after that, she gave masculine traits and feminine traits and also masculine and feminine pairs. But something that I did want to mention was how, like tying into what Angbasi was talking about with taking rest and listening to our bodies, is that like Spirit always knows what we need to like really get some type of lesson or goal. And when I have been like sat down and put in certain positions, I've also realized um, the the things that I've been praying for, I wasn't allowing in because I was trying to do, or I was so stuck in the energy of like, I don't have this thing. And so it's like, oh, I feel like I need to make this certain amount of money, or I need to do these things. And then something happens and I'm unable to do that. And then that creates the space for spirit to intervene. Or when I feel very disconnected from spirit, and then because of whatever the case may be, I end up falling asleep and taking a nap. I have a dream that perfectly connects. And so I think it's very beautiful how when we like just take a step back and trust, we just allow ourselves to like float and be supported by spirit, we get all of the things that we need. Um, and so I guess I'm just saying that to say to take a little bit of pressure off of ourselves and allow the space for spirit to spirit. But yes, does anybody have any notes from that class where we talked about masculine and feminine and the law of rhythm?
I go. I do have some notes. Um, uh, okay, so remember the focus on that class was for us to um, take a closer look to see and ask ourselves, where am I masculine, and where am I feminine, um, based on like the words that Mihanu gave us, to be able to help us understand like what it would be considered masculine and feminine, um, and what emotions am I experiencing out of balance. And then we discussed the law of gender, where everything has a masculine and feminine side. And masculine would be considered like action, logic, assertiveness, ambition, structure, um, giver, leadership. Uh, and then feminine would be receptive, encourager, um, nurturer, intuition, create, nurture, emotion, encourager, create. Okay, that's what I have written down. And yes, those were those were all of my notes for that class. But I do remember that a lot of the focus was on us identifying our energy, where we are more masculine and more feminine. Alafia, Alafia, Alafia.
I'll go. Um, since that class and learning more that everything has a masculine and feminine component to it, because I believe in that class there was a lot of like confusion around what exactly was feminine and what was masculine, because especially being African American women, we naturally have a lot of traits that are more on the masculine side. And so we didn't necessarily consider that masculine. But since learning that everything has that masculine and feminine aspect to it, has that changed the way that you view your own characteristics, or when you're watching things out in the world, are you seeing or identifying things as, oh, that's feminine, oh, that's masculine? The floor is open.
Go for me. I'm sorry, they're doing a lot in the background. I'm trying to see what's going on. But for me personally, I think I'm definitely more aware of masculine and feminine. I feel like back in the day I did always hear it and I was just like, oh, okay, like, but in the way I move, I necessarily didn't really realize like how masculine um I was and or I am. And so I felt like this has showed me, one, I want to be more in my feminine, but also just like had me think deeper of like why am I in my masculine? Like, was it because I was tall? Do I feel safe? Just all of those things like that. And so I feel like for me, a lot of it was like taught a little bit. I feel like my mom definitely just moves in a masculine type of way. And so, sometimes I can see now like why my mom and dad they argue sometimes because it's like both of y'all are masculine right now. And it's like it's just not working out. And so I just feel like I can see those things. And so it wants me to it's pushed me to be a better partner, even to my own partner, about just like, oh, like I guess I can just let you have this control, even though it's like, but I feel that like, okay, like, all right, you can't have this control. And so I guess for me it's just made me way more aware of it, but also just how I want to change too and become more feminine. Like me and my homegirl, we were talking yesterday driving around, and I was like, girl, yeah, like I just want to be able to like have that feminine energy when you like, and now I see it like there's some women like when you walk out, they have that. It's like, ooh, I'm just so feminine. I got this energy on me. And so we were saying that yesterday. It was like, ooh, we want to get into that bag because right now we're definitely in our masculine. So but yeah, I love you, I love you, I love you.
I go. I I think that for me, it really helped me to see um, areas where I um, was more masculine than I thought I was. And I've never really been um, what I consider very masculine because a lot of times we hear masculine and feminine and we immediately think of like sex as far as like the male sex and the female sex. And it's like, that's a small part to do with it, but that's not really what it is. But it's really just as far as the energy. And I felt like I wanted to be, I feel like the older I get, the more intentional I become about being in my feminine as much as possible because so much of what we are taught, especially growing up, since the feminine tends to get less respect than the masculine. And so I said this before about like uh, growing up and being in the marching band in high school, and I was in the percussion section. It was only three girls in the section. Okay, it was like 50 of us playing the drums. So it's three girls, it's 47 boys. And on top of that, I was playing the bass drum. So of course, Lenitra, you want to get the biggest, heaviest drum out there. That was really just me being stubborn because they told me I couldn't do it. And I'm going to prove to you that the more you tell me I can't do something, yes, I absolutely can. Um, but that's a separate thing. But I even remember then my mom like, oh God, my child want to be out here playing these drums with these boys, and they out here grabbing their crotch and spitting all over the place. I was never doing that. But that's what the boys were doing, and then like hearing things like, oh, you sound like a girl or you play like a girl. I am a girl, but those things are meant to be an insult. So then if you do something like a boy or like a man, then that's, you know, by society standards, much better than if you do something like a girl or like a woman. And so I think that we are taught in a number of ways that it's better to be masculine, or to revel more into your masculine energy. Look at you. I can't wait to meet you in real life, Mama Strong. Yes. See, there you go. Um, and so now have decided that I am going to be more intentional on being in my feminine. And one thing that I can think of as far as like what I was saying earlier about creating space, um, I decided that years ago, I decided I'm like, I'm gonna stop telling men, oh no, it's okay, I got it. If they offer to lift something for me or move something for me or whatever it is that they're offering, I'll take them up on that offer. And so an example of that in play was during our beach day outing, during the retreat, and we all got on the bus, and the bus was full, and so there were some seats available, but not for all of us to be able to sit down. And I was content with just, holding onto the thing and standing on the bus. Even though there were some men sitting there, it didn't look like anybody was going to offer their seat up. And I was like, well, as long as I don't expect it, I can't be disappointed. Um, but then one of the men, he offered his seat to me. And I said, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. But the woman he was with, she was like, well, how did you get him to do that? Because I can't ever get him to do anything like that for me. And in my head, I was like, okay, well, this is a little awkward because I don't know. Like, if you're willing to do for me what you aren't willing to do for your own woman, I don't know. I don't have any answer for you outside of the fact that I am a queen, and maybe he recognized it and he offered me a seat because he felt convicted in his spirit. Like, how dare I, in the presence of this woman, sit here and not offer her my seat? But I didn't want to say that because I feel like maybe she felt bad. um, but she like kept it wasn't just like one comment she made, like she kept saying things. And I'm like, I don't know. I just sat there in the seat and that was it. I didn't have anything to say. But I felt like in that moment of me not doing, I created space for him to do. And then when he did, I graciously accepted. So I felt like that was a moment where feminine energy, where even though it looks like it's not doing anything, it's doing a whole lot. And it was done, um, it was something that was done in the spirit and it manifested itself into the physical to where he offered me his seat. Um, so yes, Alafia, Alafia, Alafia.
I go. I love that example so much. And what it made me think of is, because of something that I'm working on, is like the gratitude and the graciousness. Those are very feminine traits. And you also very much exuded that. Like, you offered gratitude. It wasn't like well, you were supposed to do this, which is kind of like the energy that his, woman, or the woman that was with him, was exuding. And I'm not judging her at all, because when you are with somebody who continuously don't be doing what they're supposed to be doing, it's really hard not to be like, why aren't you doing what you're supposed to be doing? But that also is like pushing away. That also is kind of like more of like well, like, I'm not sure if it's classified as masculine, but I think like the nagging that we can do a lot as women is very like up, like not opposing, but like it pushes men away. They like to be able to have that space to just do. Um, and so I loved hearing that. I think for me, I am trying to do a better job of voicing my needs, because part of my gifts is like naturally being able to tell when people need things, and I just like naturally do it. And I didn't realize that was a gift, and it wasn't something that like not everybody had until very late in life. And so now I'm working on like speaking up more and saying what it is that I would like. Um, and then allowing that to happen. I guess like creating this space is something that I'm working on, and like voicing the things that I need. Um, and also just like I was talking about earlier, having more like grace and compassion, um, and like allowing myself to feel it, and not just be words, and not just be like, oh, it would be like this kind of in the back of my head, oh, it would be nice if this happened, but it probably won't. Like there's always kind of like an underlying expectation that I would have. Um, and so just like releasing that so that there's space again for the other things. And I think I am seeing that happen more and more, like even with today, I didn't necessarily wake up with a whole lot of energy and like happiness, which is what I would like my baseline to always be. It's very happy, bubbly energy. But I was sitting in a space of like just allowing and appreciating the day to be whatever it was, because I had written down some of the things that make me happy, and like slow days and just being content is one of those things. And so as I was doing that, I found myself throughout the day, um, like experiencing more happiness and more joy. Like that first session that we had where we were just going over the retreat, like I felt so much joy and so much happiness just hearing the conversation and everything that you all experienced. And so while the day was very just mundane. I did very mundane tasks. It just blossomed to be better and better and better. And so I think it's really beautiful that we're learning these principles and seeing how they are playing out in our lives and giving us everything that we want and need. Alafia, alafia, alafia.
I just wanted to mention, I do really like that example of the bus. And even the lady who was disappointed that her boyfriend doesn't do that for her. And I mean, you were looking very beautiful with your white dress, and and you really did stand out. But another thing that I noticed is that you said when you got on, you didn't ask him to get up. You didn't look disappointed or upset that you had to stand. It was kind of like you were just, okay, there's nothing for me. I will just stand here and I'll be okay. And I think you created the space for him to be masculine. You create the space for him to help you, to serve you, to do something to make it to where your life was easier, even though you didn't like expect it or even ask for it. And I think that's the difference between like where we are now as women in a society. We demand it. Like he better open my door. He better. But we say it with our mouths and we say it with our attitude. And you didn't do that. And it created the space for him. And it's like been something that I've been hearing Miano say recently is like when you like sit in your space, when you sit in your space, when you take your seat as the feminine role, the other side, the man or the masculine role, has no other place to sit. It has no other choice but to exude his masculinity. And I think in that example, you pulled it out. You pulled it out of him because you decided to sit in your seat. You say, oh, there's nothing for me. I'll just stand here, be inconvenienced, but I'm okay. Oh man, you got to sit down, and he did that for her. And I noticed when he walked off the bus, he burnt off, he left her. He burned off. I didn't even know they were together, you know? But it's her attitude. I love you.
I go. That is so true. I didn't even think about that because he got off first and then just left because it took her a while to get off of the bus. It looked like she had some type of issue with like I don't know if she had some kind of issue with her legs or something, but it took her a while to get off the bus. And he didn't even like wait to stand by the door and help her out or anything. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't even, that is so true. I didn't even, I didn't, yeah, it didn't seem like they were together if that's the case. But I do remember seeing them before we got on the bus. I remember seeing them together and they were walking and talking together. Uh, was the girlfriend not a feminine or graceful woman? I don't, those are not terms that I would use to describe the snapshot of her personality that we saw. Um, so I don't know. It sounds like there could be a whole bunch of other dynamics to their relationship where he, knows that he can continue getting away with treating her a certain way, or maybe a lack of treatment in a way. Um, and yes, and I'm thinking to myself that it could also be something like what Mama Song was hinting at a lot of times when we are trying to like stay after them about something, it has the opposite effect. And in the not doing, that ends up being louder than anything that you could ever say or do to try to get them to act. Because what he responded to in me, there were no words exchanged besides, "You can have my seat." And then I said, "Thank you so much. I appreciate it." And that was it. We didn't say anything else to each other the rest of the time we were both on the bus. Um, but yeah, I totally forgot that part of when they got off the bus. He just cleared it. Lafayette, Lafayette, Lafayette.
Oh, sorry.
No.
I had one more thing. I was gonna say, and I feel like white, I don't know if that was a feminine color or maybe it is, but I feel like just being in all white, I feel like people were really flocking to that. Like I felt like they just felt like we were just, I don't know, something different. I'm like, wow, okay, like people asking us, are we from somewhere else? Like they were just really feeling the whole white. Like I felt like they were really feeling that feminine energy. Even when I got to the airport, like my bag was like 10 pounds over, and the guy was like, I ain't even gonna charge you. Just go ahead and go. And I said, okay, let me go ahead and go, period. So I'm like, okay, the white, I might have to put it on. I'm just like, let me put my wrap on. They feeling it. But yeah, I agree. So I love you, love you, love you.
I go. As I'm listening to this, I just hear so much like all of the work that you've done healing and restoring and pouring into yourself and how it's like exuding out for like all of us. And how important environment and community is, how you just said that like as a group, the way people felt your energy together, and the ripple effect of that. But my heart goes out to that woman, whoever she is, because I just feel like her have like being that aggressive and that angry, that means that there's a lot of things that are unfed inside of her. And so I just have prayers that she'll be able to get that fulfilled so that she can be in her feminine energy. And I think this is a beautiful example for us to remember when we are just out in the world, and even when we find ourselves maybe snipping a little bit at people or like having this kind of energy about us, we might remember this interaction and be like, "Ooh, my feminine is wounded right now and I need to take care of that." Okay, let me find Who has the next page of notes?
I'll go. For July 6th, I have some notes. Okay. Um, so my notes for the July 6th class, there is a difference between gender and feminine versus masculine. My goodness. There's a difference between gender versus feminine or masculine energy. Energy flows or it is fluid. Gender only has two sides. Um, and then I have written here, it was something Miana said. If the man's role is to be the protector, my role is to be fragile. It's like a rock versus an egg. Eggs require more protection, so you must treat it special. Women should only be with men that make them feel safe enough to be fragile, feminine, and soft. Uh, and then there was the homework assignment, but then the next week was the retreat. So we didn't we didn't get a chance to do the homework. But the homework that Yanu gave was to look at the principles and observe a real scenario where we identify the energy of the situation and tell how I was able to manipulate that energy to work out in my favor. I like that. Yes. Okay, look, I think I may have done the homework, didn't even realize I was doing the homework, but I don't know. Latvia.
I'll go. The notes that I have for the 6th, they begin with child rearing. And so from 0 to 7, it is for the mother to nurture. And then from 7 to 17, it's to prepare for life. Um, as an educator and healer, when we are healing someone, it depends on who you're dealing with. Thinking of administering medicines you give to a baby. Oh, thinking of like medicine, you don't give the same amount to a baby as you do to an adult. Even between women and men, there are different dosages. Nothing is one size fits all. It's important to use your intelligence with dealing with people. It's based on your knowledge, how you cater your teachings and your lessons. Um, Last week, we ended on the masculine and feminine energy and how there's a difference between the physical sex and gender energy. Everything has context. The two poles give us the two sexes. Feminine and masculine are two poles, uh, are the two gender poles. When it comes to our mind and how we see the world, the energy that encompasses you, you have both. And in this journey, it's about finding out within your person what's important to you, not to go into a toxic state, but so you know how to show up, how to filter what's good for you and what's not. Femininity, when thinking about the man, is to protect. Okay, we're gonna just ignore that sentence. Our role is to be fragile. Everything is a manner of degree. To the degree that you are fragile will be the degree you need protecting. When someone is courting you, you have to show them what you really want. When you're bringing eggs and bread and you have it in its own bag and it's in the front seat, somewhere where it can be seen and protected, we have to start putting our lives in order where we feel safe enough to be fragile. And then I believe in this class, Mianu asked for examples of different interactions, and then she gave the feminine and masculine. And so I have here parent-child interaction, and the parent is the dominant and the child is submissive. And then if you're on a solo date at a restaurant, Allow for the wait service to open the doors for you, wait to be seated, ask questions to the server in a way that brings out their intelligence, ask to be navigated through the menu. When you're on your break, what do you eat? When something goes wrong, remaining in your feminine, stating that you're unhappy, how can you fix this? What options can you offer me because XYZ happened? Praising when it's taken care of, right? Praising good behavior. Is there a manager I can talk to that and let them know that you handled that well? Giving an opportunity to recover. The sign of a good masculine is not always getting it right and perfect, but how they recover. Good feminine is giving praise or support for good behavior. The feminine energy doesn't have solutions, they have problems. Masculine energy has the solution and the answers. To utilize this, start asking questions, play naive, and navigate people to the answers without taking the lead. Um, Stating your capacity. When speaking to males, we need to speak to them in a masculine way that they understand. Um, Substantiating our emotions with like evidence and data. Yes, Miana was talking about how a lot of times as feminine, we will lead with our emotions, and that does not compute to the masculine, and they might disregard it. So presenting what our fears or concerns are in a way that they're able to understand it. Alafia, Alafia, Alafia.
Go. My notes. I remember that week. That was a week I had a lot going on over here, so I don't have them. But I do remember that we were talking about those, and I am gonna run that video back because it's like I missed that part of her talking about what you just said about oh, it just blanked on me. Oh, about like our emotions and like how we can get across our point of view to people. So I feel like I missed that part, so I'm gonna run that video back for that because that was good.
I go. I feel like that last example, that bus example, was a perfect kind of example of this whole lesson, especially at the end where Miyanu had talked about how the feminine has problems and then the masculine has solutions. The problem was Lenitra was standing up. He had the solution. Go ahead, have my seat, shorty. And even just the way that we present what we like our problems and our concerns. I think thinking about myself personally, I can have a very like prideful approach a lot of times and thinking that I'm right. And I mean, I do be right, but the way that I present it, it doesn't have to be in a I'm right type of way. Um, oh yes, I remember because Miano called me out. I think I was talking about banana bread. So yeah, that's an area that I am working on. Um, and even now that I'm reflecting on the past couple of weeks, there has been things that I've needed. And I've been talking to friends, and even when I'm praying, and I didn't approach it from like a I need this and nobody's helping me type of way. It was like just a natural conversational, oh, this thing came up. And then like it was naturally provided for, like just unexpectedly. I was not like, that was not my intent going into the conversation. It's kind of just what came up for me. And then it was being substantiated. And so even as I'm not consciously trying to work these principles, they're at play. Has anybody else noticed that?
I'll go. I guess I'll go again. Just a little bit for me, and even thinking about um just when I think about my relationship now, I'm a very like I felt this emotion during this time, so I know this experience happened even if I can't remember. And so I feel like a lot of times my relationship, like we're arguing about things and it's like, no, I felt this, so I know this happened, but I don't bring any evidence behind it. And so I think that is something honestly sometimes I forget the evidence, but now I'm gonna have to do a better thing of just remembering of like what it was or just what it is because I do feel like men they don't go based off emotions. They're just like, no, like this was that experience. Like what was like show me that experience. What was it like? And I'm like, wow, I have nothing, but I know I felt it at the time, so I know that this happened and I know I was frustrated at this time, so I know it happened, but can I give you an exact example? No. And so I feel like I want to work on that, but I do feel like there are some times where if I am in my feminine, like, and I just like not say it in that way, but just in a way of like, oh, okay, like this is what I need, like it is easily provided for. But it's just when I'm not in that way that's like, I need this and I need somebody to give it to me now. That it's like not happening. But I feel like when I'm just like, okay, like let me just let it come to me and like let me just put it out there, put fillers, it does happen. I feel.
I go. I just want to say that what you're saying perfectly illustrates in the last lesson when it talked about when you stay neutral between the two poles, that's how you're able to elevate. So that's beautiful. Alafia, Alafia, Alafia. I go. Another thought that just popped up, Tanaja, um, do you have things or like examples of times when your partner made you feel safe? Because maybe like bringing that up, like, that one time when we were out on a date and, there was a little scuffle happening and you scooched me on over, or like if you can remember the times when he has made you feel safe, maybe that will be helpful. And then like, even if you can't pinpoint the examples of like when you felt frustrated, at least he has a pinpoint of the right thing. And that might even be more helpful because that'll stick in his head. And that even is going into the lesson when Mianu talked about giving praise for the right behavior. Or even if there aren't examples of times when he made you feel safe, just knowing the things that make you feel comfortable or safe, or when I'm feeling scared, this is what helps make me feel better. Can be really helpful. Even in all like relationships, there are just certain phrases that can be very helpful. Like, do you want comfort or do you want solutions? That's something that's been very helpful for like friendships and things when I'm trying to navigate with someone, and how I can be the most supportive. Yeah, Alafia, Alafia, Alafia.
I agree with that. I feel like he definitely does provide a safe place, and a lot of my friends do too. I think I'm working in the space of where I'm the person that needs to be a little more vulnerable and be like, oh, okay, like you are giving me this space, so let me actually like open up and tell you like, hey, I'm not feeling this, or like this is wrong. And so that is something that me and my therapist right now, we're working on that really heavy of me really just being like, no, I don't really like that, or no, like I don't like the way you did that, or this made me feel uncomfortable. And so I feel like my boyfriend, he has given me that space to tell him the things I don't like. And so sometimes I feel like I'm a little harsh to him just because I know that he is so like safe, which is kind of bad on my end. And so I'm like, da 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 da. And so I'm trying to, I guess, reel it back, but also just be more vulnerable and be like, hey, like, I really don't like the way this is working out, or I don't like this. And same with my friends too. because I feel like they just peep the vibe, but I want to be a more like, no, I actually didn't like this because of this, and giving them that space to feel like how they want to feel instead of me like, are they going to be upset? Now I have anxiety because they're feeling upset and now I'm upset, and it's just like, so that is a big thing, I guess, honoring my voice, that I'm trying to really work with a lot.
I think that is all of the notes that we have had so far for the module, right? Because 7-6, then the next weekend was the retreat. Um, does anyone have any reflections on, I mean, throughout, we've been giving our reflections on what the ways that we've been incorporating these new concepts. But like throughout this discussion, have you had more insights or light bulbs come on, or ways that we can like tangibly really embody this? I think that it's so easy to take in information, but then we don't really create well, let me speak for myself. I don't always create plans to actually make it like happen, or like, I want to be more of this way. Okay, how can I do that? For me personally, one of the things is growing up, I didn't really do my hair a lot. Like it was like special occasions, I would get my hair done. I mean, I looked put together, but it wasn't like like a huge thing or a regular thing. And so that's something that I want to work on because, your appearance is a big part of, femininity. And so like my braids are starting to get fuzzy. So tomorrow I plan on like taking care of my hair. And so that's something that I think is different than what I would done in the past, because I would wear a hairstyle till it just looked terrible, and now it's like I'm trying to be like always feeling pretty. Like once it's not fresh anymore, I'm like, let me go ahead and switch that up. And so what are some of the other ways that you all are embodying the women that you want to be? Oh, and also, are there ways that we can be supporting you in this journey? Ways that we can be checking in, or encouragement that we can be sending? Alafia, Alafia, Alafia.
Go. For me, I've been trying to like wear more perfume. I went and bought some perfume recently. And then my intern, she went and got me some perfume. I'm like, dang. And I had wanted some Arabic perfume and she got me some. I was like, this is just, y'all want me smelling nice. Yes. So for me, I've been trying to do the whole perfume thing. Like, I want to smell good. I don't know. I can't remember what Princess Miana said about smelling good, but it has stuck to me. Like, I need that. So, I feel like I've been really trying to wear perfume every day, like making sure I smell nice. And then I feel like there's a few ways I want to work better of just putting some things in action. But I think that's just more of me like putting boundaries into place and me like um also I guess just like releasing the load on some things and like letting other people take hold. And so I'm not just taking so like I guess I'm not just wanting to hold everything. So those are some things that I want to do better. And then I feel like support wise, I feel like y'all are already very supportive. When I see your like meditations, I feel like that's good. I read your stuff. We've been doing your kids or morning meditation with my nephew. Like I feel like those are helpful things, like your voices and all that stuff. So I feel like just like seeing the work y'all do and the life y'all live and how like real it is and the ups and downs, I feel like that is support for me because it's like sometimes when you think about the healing journey, you're like, it's gonna be so just like good and just easy up and down, like, but now you just know it's like, dang, it's kind of down sometimes and really a lot of times. And so For me, just seeing y'all be vulnerable in that and the way y'all live and just open and honest, I think that helps me because I'm like, oh, okay, like this actually is how it's supposed to be. And so I can relate to that. I feel.
I go. I um I feel like I am going to continue um the path of not doing as much as much as I can because one one of the things from my childhood that I am trying to come out of is um is overdoing or trying to make sure that um I do enough to where you don't have to worry about me. I'm okay. I'll take care of me. And then B, trying to do as much as I can for everybody else in some kind of way to prove that, see, it's good to keep me around. It's good to have me around. I feel like that was, I feel like that was something that was um, learned along the way, and then trying to people please at the same time. Yes, the worthiness issue, and also trying to people please, like having an issue with um, boundaries, and not even realizing that I have an issue with boundaries because if people give me their boundaries, I respect them. But what about your boundaries, Lenitra? And so um, trying to make sure that I am not repeating certain things that I know are just not really serving me. Um, and so far, I feel like I have been taking a lot of comfort in the doing that comes with not doing. And trusting that if it doesn't get done by me, that that doesn't mean it won't get done or won't get done correctly. It just won't by me. And that's okay, Lenitra. Um, Also having to like you know, remind myself that well, not remind. I don't know if it's a reminder, but just I guess asking myself, like questioning whether or not is there some arrogance behind that too, where I feel like the only way something can be done properly is if I'm the one that's doing it. But then you can't do that and then have a problem with the fact that you have to be the one to do it, or um, have a problem with the fact that people don't feel like they need to check on you or assuming that you are okay. Like all of these things are the things that come with um, always doing, always being there, always being the one that people know they can depend on. Type all of that comes with it. Well, Lenitra good. We'll have to check on her. She doesn't need protecting because she's our protector kind of thing. Um, and so I feel like I have been like dismantling that lately, and a lot of that has been coming with I just won't do anything at all unless let's see what happens. um, and learning throughout this process from Yanu that that is a very feminine way of doing. Alafia, alafia, alafia.
I go. Apologies, I was moving around a bit, but what was the question?
I go. The question was, what are some of the goals that we have uh, with becoming the woman that we want to be, and the ways that we can be helping to support each other in like attaining those goals.
Mm, I'll go. So I guess most recently my goals have been just aligning myself with the lesson that Miana had taught about the different stages of mothering. Like in the first 6 years or so, you are the protector for the baby. He's a baby. You kind of nurture and cover them because of your responsibilities. But in the like 7 to 17 time period, you're really preparing them um, to go out into the world. You're preparing them for their missions. You're preparing them to be like who they're supposed to be within the family or within the society. And that, you kind of have to separate some of your feelings and emotions in order to teach them some of the tough lessons that they need to learn. Um, and we talked about like suffering and how that brings out the ingenuity of the child or the um, like the character or strength of the child that you're raising. And so my goals have been more to embody that since my son is in that stage. And it's been a little bit of a difficult transition from the baby stage to this preparation stage. And of course, you don't you're not raised, well, I wasn't raised to know these different stages or like what to do or what my family usually does. And so it's kind of a learning process. And I'm happy to like have some guidance on that. But it's difficult as a mother in this stage. And it's difficult, like as you see the relationship between you and the child change from that nurturing, loving, to sometimes harsh or harder lessons that you need to give. So I've just been trying to embody this stage and having wisdom in order to have the proper relationship with the child so that he's able to grow and develop to be a good person or a good member of society. So that's been one of my goals, just as a woman, as a feminine energy within a family. And another one is really working on again that vulnerability of being vulnerable, being, sitting in my seat and not, being both masculine and feminine or taking up different spaces. And so that's what I've been working on. And that's some of my goals. Because, of course, you do want to have good relationships. You want to find a right partner. You want to have good friendships. And so just knowing how to embody the feminine energy has been something I haven't really had a lot of practice in. And so this is one of the goals. um, how I can be supported or support others, I think is like, again, going back to like building the bonds and like having like open conversations, being vulnerable with my sisterhood more than I have before would be helpful for me, like, because we all go through the similar things. We all have different experiences that may help each other. And sometimes it's better to see yourself when you are having these type of relationships. So I just want to build better relationships with the women around me in order to like support them and they support me in those two efforts of, you know, being a better mother and being better in relationships. I feel.
I go. Um, I love to hear that. And so one of the things was like how we can actually tangibly do some of these, um, like complete our goals. And so, um, is there a way that we can incorporate checking in more often, or what are some of the ways that we might be able to, embody and put into practice some of these traits and characteristics that we've been learning? One idea I have is I guess, just utilizing the WhatsApp chat more. Just, texting to check in and maybe even seeing if anybody wants to hop on a call, if anybody has time to hop on a call. And it doesn't have to be as like structured. I think that's one of the things that is kind of sad that we've lost from back in the day. Like, I feel like when I message my friends, it's always like, oh, what's your schedule like? What's your availability? Back in the day, we used to just call, we would just do it. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I'm thinking of so and so. Let me call them. And now it's like, let me schedule a time to call them. Maybe we just embody being sisters more and we text each other, call each other. But does anybody else have any other ideas?
I'll go. I know we're all busy, but I think like group activities is something that would help, even if it's virtual. Like, I'd be interested to start a book club and we we meet like I don't know, it doesn't have to be aggressive, but you know, like we all bond over a book and it's a way of learning, it's a way of bonding, it's a way of like developing creativity because I know Tanaja was talking about some books that she was reading that sound pretty interesting. And I don't know, I would like to like do something like that, and that's like a fun way to get together, and it builds that bond. I don't know, it was like some superhero stuff. Like, I don't know, Tanaja, you might want to tell us what that book is.
Go. Now, this is a book, boy. It's called The Secret Life of Maggie Gray. And it is a book based on supernatural, but it's based in ATL and it's also based in an HBCU setting. And so it's like the ages range from like 28 to probably like 35. So they're older students. And a lot of these girls just found out that they had some power. And so actually, I gotta pause for a second though. Sorry.
I wonder what book this is she talking about because I am in two book clubs right now, and the books that we read are, I like them, but I'm like, the stuff that I really want to read, I'm like, I think I would scare everybody in those two book clubs. So they'll be like, oh, no. So they're away from it. I'm like, I just read on my own then. But but that would definitely right now I'm listening to Matriarch on Audible by Miss Tina Knowles. Feel like there's a lot of nuggets in there um about about ancestral veneration. feel like anybody who does that or is into that would be able to pick up on what she was putting down in the book. But I do love how their family is really intentional about that. And then when you think about like Beyonce's career, how she has anytime she's had a business venture with something, it was always named after some relative in her family. And then learning from Agbasi that doing things like that is a part of honoring and venerating your ancestors. And I was like, oh, maybe this is where Beyonce get it from, because her mama was doing the same thing. Even when she named her Beyonce, that was her mama's maiden name, last name.
Go. I wanted to bring it back though. You guys should read it. Or we should start the book club and read it. It is like great book, like love supernatural fantasy, love, but also has just people discovering themselves, like and just like accepting your power within, your true power, all that stuff. So it is it's good. It's one of the best books I've read, like supernatural and black. Not ever, but almost ever. Based on a black author. So you guys should read it. I'm gonna put it in the chat. But I also agree, I think doing activities, even though I know it's hard for us to like get up. But like even if we do like, a painting activity where everybody do their own paint, I'm just saying I feel like we could do all like Zoom activities and then maybe like we could also come together every now and then. But I think like coming together doing like activities is very, very cool. And I think that would be cool to grow our sisterhood in that way. Because I feel like y'all are pretty much a part of our lives now. Like we see you 2 times, 3 times a week. It's like now I know y'all. Like we're here. So yeah.
I'll go. Okay, let me work on my group project thing that Miana has said. Who feels like they have a skill set of maybe organizing this extracurricular activity that we're trying to do for the ladies? Who feels like they would be good at going into the chat, maybe setting up a poll, um, and finding out the activity and then a possible time we could do said activity. The floor is open.
I'll go. I'm down. So I will I'm down to do that. That's my specialty, so I'm with it.
Thank you so much, Tanaja. Yes, you did an excellent job with the retreat. And so I really love that you are utilizing that skill again as a way to serve the collective. And I'm so excited to see what this brings about. Okay. Yes, look at that gift making room for you. I love that. Um, Thursday, the 24th is new moon, so we will be having words of power. Definitely put that on the calendar, set them alarms. I want to open up the floor if there's any other announcements or things that need to be shared. The floor is open.
I'll go. Oh, and just so you ladies know, my WhatsApp, something happened. I don't know. Like I said, it's this retrograde. So I have a new number. I think you probably can see it in the other chats, but I have to get added back to the goddaughter chat. So Yeah, so I'm still here and I wanted to reach out, but my number is different now. So once I get back in the goddaughter chat, I think you'll be able to see it more clearly. Um, yeah, so I just wanted to put that out there. I feel it.
Go. That's good to know because I seen that. I was like, who is this white lady? I was like, okay, maybe she's just doing a different picture. Like, I don't know. Like, that's cool, but makes sense now that, that's not you.
Yeah, it's so suspicious. I don't know what happened. It was just like one day my WhatsApp was like, "We're kicking you out of WhatsApp," and I was like, "Okay." And then I did. I looked back at that number. I was like, "Who's this white lady? Like, this is strange." So I'm gonna put my picture up there, and then when I get it back, you'll see me.
Okay, so we covered the notes, and everybody was able to update their notes, on the key principles, right? Okay. And then we also talked about the integration of these principles and laws into our life, and we got a lot of really great real life examples of them at play, which was so helpful. And then we also have a call to action, and we will be able to meet together in a more kind of fun capacity, which is going to be a beautiful way for us to strengthen our femininity muscle of just being able to be girls together, and just offer each other support, so that we are able to show up in our lives in the capacity that we are meant to. But if that is all, uh, I think that's all. Um, yeah, so everyone be well. Of course, utilize the chat if you have any questions or comments or anything like that. But until next time, everyone, be well.